Okay. In today's lesson, we're going to be in 1 Samuel chapter number 9. But before we start, let's do some review. In the last lesson, we saw how Israel was discontented with God as their ruler and wanted a king. They insisted on having a king even after being warned of Samuel against it. We also learned about the dangers of wanting what other people have instead of what God has given us. In today's lesson, we're going to meet the next major character in the book of 1 Samuel. And we meet him in verse number 1 and 2 of chapter 9. Now there was a man of Benjamin, whose name was Kish, the son of Abiel, the son of Zeror, the son of Becherath, the son of Aphiah, a Benjamite, a mighty man of power. The next major character in our... verse number 2. And he had a son whose name was Saul, a choice young man and goodly, and there was not among the children of Israel a goodlier person than he. From his shoulders and upward he was higher than any of the people. The next major character in our story is named Saul. He will dominate the spotlight of this book for the next 7 chapters. These first 2 verses just tell us a lot about him. First, now let's read through it. Verse 1. Now there was a man of Benjamin. He was a Benjamite, which was a descendant of Benjamin, which was a son of Israel, and a tribe of Israel. And let's continue reading. And whose name was Kish, the son of Abiel, the son of Zeror, the son of Becherath, the son of Aphiah, a Benjamite, a mighty man of power. This guy named Kish was a Benjamite that was a mighty man of power, which means that Saul, who is his son, as we read in the next verse, was from a powerful family in Israel. And then we continue. And he had a son whose name was Saul. That would be Kish had a son. A choice young man and a goodly, and there was not among the children of Israel a goodlier person than he. That goodlier means he was handsome. From his shoulders and upward he was higher than any of the people, which means he was a tall person. His shoulders were above everyone else's heads. From a worldly perspective, this seems like the ideal person to be the king. But these are not the qualities that God considers the most important when choosing a king. The qualities that God is looking for are found in 1 Samuel 16, verse number 7. But the Lord said to Samuel, Look not on his countenance, nor on the height of his stature, because I have refused him. For the Lord seeth not as man seeth. For man looketh on the outward appearance, but the Lord looketh on the heart. The most important thing that God is looking for in a king is a person who has a heart that's right with him, not the outward appearance. We should have the same perspective and remember this when we are choosing our friends. The Bible tells us that the best way we can tell the state of a person's heart is by their fruits, which is what they say and what they do. Jesus tells us this principle in Luke chapter 6. Verse number 44 and 45. Luke chapter 6. For every tree is known by its own fruit. For of thorns men do not gather figs, nor of bramble bush gather they grapes. A good man out of the good treasure of his heart bringeth forth that which is good. And an evil man out of the evil treasure of his heart bringeth forth that which is evil. For of the abundance of the heart his mouth speaketh. We should look at the things that people do and what they say to see if it lines up with the Bible, to help us determine if we should take them as our close friends. Having good friends is a good way of staying out of God's judgment and being blessed by God. Because Psalm 1 verses 1 and 2 says, "Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night." If we stay away from bad friends, we will be blessed by God. We should care more about the heart than the outward appearance when choosing friends. And the same principle applied to choosing a king. Now let's look at what Saul does in this chapter of the Bible. Starting in verse 3. "And the asses of Kish, Saul's father, were lost. And Kish said unto Saul his son, Take now one of the servants with thee, and arise, go seek the asses. And he passed through the Mount Ephraim, and passed through the land of Shalisha, and they found them not. Then passed they through the land of Shalom, and there they were not. And he passed through the land of the Benjamites, and they found them not. Saul's father sent Saul to look for some missing donkeys. Saul and one of his servants looked all over the place, but they could not find the missing donkeys." See what they did. Verse 5. "And when they were come to the land of Zuph, Saul said unto the servant that was with him, Come, let us return, lest my father leave caring for the asses, and take thought for us." Saul thought that since he had been gone for so long, looking for the donkeys, that his father was probably more worried about him being gone than the missing donkeys. Because of this, he thought that him and his servant would just go back home and forget about the donkeys, but his servant had a different idea. And that is found in verse 6. "And he said," which is Saul's servant, "unto him, Behold now, there is in this city a man of God, and he is an honorable man, and all that he saith cometh surely to pass. Now let us go thither, peradventure he can show us the way that we should go." The servant suggested that they should inquire of the man of God, which was in a nearby city. And let's see what they decide. "Then said Saul to his servant, But, behold, if we go, what shall we bring the man? For the bread is spent in our vessels, and there is not a present to bring to the man of God. What have we? And the servant answered Saul again and said, Behold, I have here at hand a fourth part of a shekel of silver. That will I give to the man of God to tell us our way. Before time in Israel, when the man went out to inquire of God, thus he spake, Come, let us go to the seer. For he that is now called a prophet was before time called a seer. Then said Saul to his servant, Well said, come, let us go. So they went to the city where the man of God was. Saul and his servant decide to go and inquire of the man of God about their missing donkeys. Let's see what they do when they get there. Verse 11. And as they went up the hill to the city, they found a young maidens going out to draw water, and said to them, Is the seer here? And they answered them, the ladies answered them, and said, He is. Behold, he is before you. Make haste now, for he came today to the city. For there is a sacrifice of the people today in the high place. As soon as ye come into the city, ye shall straightway find him before he go up to the high place to eat. For the people will not eat until he come, because he doth bless the sacrifice, and afterwards they that eat be bidden. Afterwards they eat that be bidden. Now therefore get you up, for about this time ye shall find him. When they came to the city, they see some ladies that tell them that they could find the man of God in the city, but they need to hurry up and catch him before he goes to the high place for a feast. The man of God that they are looking for is the prophet Samuel, which we've learned about a lot about in the last lessons. See if they find him, if they can catch him. This is in verse number 14. And they went up unto the city, and when they were come into the city, behold, Samuel came out against them, for to go to the high place. Now the Lord had told Samuel in the ear a day before Saul came, saying, Tomorrow, about this time, I will send thee a man out of the land of Benjamin, and thou shalt anoint him to be captain over all my people Israel, that he may save my people out of the hand of the Philistines. For I have looked upon my people before their cry is come unto me. And when Samuel saw Saul, the Lord said to him, Behold, the man whom I spake to thee of, this same shall reign over my people. God had forewarned Samuel that he would meet someone that day that was supposed to be the first king of Israel. When Samuel saw Saul, and God told him that this was the person that he was looking for. God planned this meeting perfectly. This interaction above shows us that God is in control of every situation and that he always arranges those we meet to fit his will. Whatever interactions we have with people are part of God's sovereign plan. As Christians, we can know that whatever God does is for our good. Whatever God does in our lives is for our good. And this principle is found in Romans 8:28. Which is, and we know that all things work together for good, to them that love God, and to them who are called according to his purpose. God will show us what we need to do if we are willing to read his word and obey what it says. The Bible says in 1 Peter 1:19, we have a more sure word of prophecy, whereunto ye do well that ye take heed, as a light that shineth in dark space, until the day dawn, and the day star arise in your hearts. That means that the Bible is a more reliable form of prophecy than if God talked directly to us. And this prophecy is going to be more sure until Jesus comes back. For this reason, when we hear about someone who claims that God said something to them, we have the Bible to check it by. If what they says contradicts the Bible, then we can know that what they are saying is not from God, because the written word is more sure than anything that anyone hears or says they hear. Let's continue on to see what happens in the next verses. Verse 18. And Samuel, I'm in the wrong chapter. And Saul drew near to Samuel in the gate and said, Tell me, I pray thee, where the seer's house is. And Samuel answered Saul and said, I am the seer. Go up before me unto the high place, for ye shall eat with me this day. And tomorrow I will let thee go, and I will tell thee all that is in thine heart. As for these thine asses that were lost 3 days ago, set not thy mind on them, for they are found. And on whom is all the desire of Israel? Is it not on thee and on thy father's house? When Saul asks Samuel where he can find the prophet, Samuel tells Saul that Saul must eat with him today. Samuel also tells Saul that his donkeys are okay and that he doesn't need to look for them anymore. Verse number 21. And Saul answered and said, Am I not a Benjamite, of the smallest of the tribes of Israel? And my family the least of all the families of the tribes of Benjamin? Wherefore then speakest thou so to me? And Samuel took Saul and his servant, and brought them into the parlor, and made them sit at the chiefest place among them that were bidden, which were about 30 persons. Saul questions why he is being chosen to come to eat with Samuel, but he does not think that he is worthy, but he decides to obey Samuel. And Samuel doesn't answer his question, as far as I can see. He just took Saul and his servant. And then verses 22. And Samuel took Saul and his servant and brought them to the parlor and made them to sit with the chiefest place among them that were bidden, which were about 30 persons. And Samuel said unto the cook, Bring the portion which I gave thee, and which I said unto thee, set it by there. And the cook took up the shoulder, and that which was upon it, and set it before Saul. And Samuel said, Behold, that which is left, set it before thee, and eat. For unto this time has it been kept for thee, since I said, I have invited the people. So Saul did eat with Samuel that day. When Saul and Samuel arrive at the meal, Samuel tells the cook to bring Saul the piece of meat that he has been saving. This piece of meat was the shoulder, which was considered the best piece of meat. This piece was only given to the most prominent guest. Verse number 25. And when they were come down from the high place into the city, Samuel communed with Saul upon the top of the house. Now I think this is where the chapter should have ended, because the next part seems to go right into the next story. So that's where we're going to finish this lesson, but not finish it, but just go into application. So what can we learn from this passage? In this passage, God directed the life of Saul and Samuel perfectly. He brought them together at the perfect time. If we are willing to follow God, then He will direct our life. This principle is found in Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Which says, Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thy own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct thy paths. If we trust in God, then He will cause us to meet the right people and do the right things. He is all-powerful, and we can trust Him with our lives. That's the main principle we learned from this passage, but we also learned a lot about Saul's character in this chapter. One thing we learned about him is he does not seem to know a whole lot about the ways of God. His servant tells him about Samuel as if he had never heard of him before. We will also learn later in his life that Saul will abandon God as his advisor, and God will be forced to find a new king. Another thing that we learned about Saul is he comes from a powerful family but does not seem to be very commanding or have good leadership skills. Based on what I've read in this chapter and other parts of Scripture, I think that Paul was a little just sort of go along, get along, because he goes along with everyone else says. And I saw this in this passage because he just listens to what the servant says. And the main passage that I figured this out from was 1 Samuel 15, which talks about him, this will come back and haunt him later in life when he is given a direct command by God and instead decides to give in to the people that he is leading and allow them to disobey God. This account is found in 1 Samuel 15, which we will get to in a later lesson. But this passage also shows that Saul is very easily influenced. Because the children of Israel wanted a king and did not listen to God's warning, their first king would be a lesson of what happens when we do what we want, when we do not want God to control our lives, but instead we want a flawed human being. And another thing that I found, right before I got up here, was another reason that Saul was not the ideal king was he was from the tribe of Benjamin, not the tribe of Judah, which was where the king was supposed to come from. And that's found in Genesis 49, I think. Remember correctly. See if I can find it here. Verse 8, yeah. Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. Thy hand shall be a neck of thine enemies. Thy father's children shall bow down before thee. Judah is a lion's whelp of the prey. My son, thou art gone up. He stooped down, he crouched as a lion, and as an old lion, who shall rouse him? The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh come, and unto him shall the gathering of the people be. This shows us that if they waited on God to give them a king, and not wanted one right away, he would have been from the tribe of Judah, which is another reason that shows us that Saul was not the best choice. In conclusion, Saul was directed by Samuel by God's providence. God chose Saul as the first king of Israel. We should always remember that God is in control of every situation and trust that he will always work things out according to his plan. In the next lesson, we will see how Saul, he was never Paul, was made king of Israel.